Hello, I hope you're seeing the whole screen here. In my preview for this, I'm only seeing a little portion of this, but anyway, I've posted two links in the note here from the instructor. One a link to VMware Workstation, the other a link to a downloadable ISO for Server 2008 R2. More than likely, you don't have a piece of appropriate software laying around that you can just install server on, so this is a good workaround. The virtual machine does require the necessary minimum requirements on a PC. Plenty of memory, at least 4 gigabytes of memory. Also requires a 64 gigabyte box. And you may have to enable virtualization support in the processor in the BIOS, okay? This class isn't about those. I'm going to go on. I want to run real quick through how to install and how to set up and install a server and virtual machine. Download VMware Workstation. There's the Pro version and there's the evaluation version. This is the eval. It's free. And this isn't easy to find. It took me a lot of digging around, but there's a link to where it's at. Download it. So you get VMware Workstation installed. Open it. Get it over here where we can see it. I've already built one here. I'm going to start a new one. I'm going to build a brand new one here. I'm going to call it Create a Virtual New Machine. This I want to make sure is set. I will install the operating system later. Okay. Click Next. Make sure it's Windows. Make sure it's also set on the appropriate version. This is R2. This is release 2 of Server 2008, 64-bit, so I'm choosing that one. I'll click Next. I can go ahead and leave it with that name. However, I already have one, so I'm going to put V2 on the end, so I'll just know it's the second one. By default, it wants to put the virtual machine in your user profile. You can do that. That's fine. It takes up some space. I don't particularly put them there myself. I have other locations where I put virtual machines. I got them all scattered all over the place here. I'm going to stick one in here. And I use that folder as my install. You don't have to do that. You can take the default if you want. It's no big deal. Go ahead and leave this. It won't take all of 40 gigabytes. That's the space it's going to virtually use. Okay. You can leave it this way also. Comes in handy if you have to transport the virtual machine files. Most and a lot of, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of portable drives are FAT32, and big files over 4 gigabytes don't work. And this will be over 4 gigabytes more than likely. Splitting the disk into multiple files makes it easier to move it around. Let's go to the customized hardware because we're using an ISO as our install source, and we want to treat that like a CD drive. We want to boot to the ISO just like you would for installing almost anything else. Customize hardware, choose right here, new CD, DVD, and right here, we don't want to use a physical drive. That's actually the physical one in here. We want to point it at our ISO image, that one right there. It's on my desktop, and you'd think it would just pick out ISOs, but no. So now when it boots, it's going to point at this and treat it like it's in a CD drive, okay? Close that up. We'll finish that. We have a virtual machine running here. Gotta make sure I don't drag it off my view here. What I see in my recording software is a pretty small screen. So let's do play virtual machine. What we're going to do is essentially booting it up. And now you're going to get a standard Windows installation process going on here. Get it up to a point and we'll take a break and pause. And I'll start back up when the good stuff starts. Hello. Here we go. English, US, yep, all looks good to me. Notice that right there. Your control will pop back and forth between your virtual guest and your host. So if you ever have trouble moving to your host, can't click on something, hit Control and Alt. Give you back your mouse control out here. I'm going to do an install now, and it should give me, there we go, the choices. Let's not do a core. Core has no GUI on it, except for some very, very small number of utilities. But we want to see the graphical interface. Standard will be appropriate. We'll just use the standard install. Okay. Next, we don't have a product key. We're going to go ahead and accept the license terms. This is a evaluation copy of Server 2008. We're not doing an upgrade, clearly. There's no server already installed. We're going to do custom. This is that virtual drive we created. We're just going to use the whole thing to install our server on. In the production servers, you would have a 200, 300 gigabyte hard drive and partition a small installation partition, and then use the rest for data. We'll just use all of this. And this is the part where it gets kind of boring, where we watch this stuff take place. I'm going to pause the recording here, and I'll come back when this portion is complete.